You want straight A's? Okay, Mom, I'll get straight A's. This particular incident was back in 8th grade, but my mom's always been competitive about scholastic achievement. I wasn't bad at academics, but saved my competitive streak for more important things like kicking my friends' asses at Street Fighter. Anyway, the morning of the math test, I felt absolutely unwell. The conversation went something like this. Mom, I don't feel good. I need to stay home. No. She's from India, they straight up don't accommodate sick days. Hopefully it's changed since. I tried to explain America is more chill about these things, but somehow it didn't work, so I sped through the test, handed it in, ran out the door. With permission. And vomited in the first toilet I got to. Yeah, definitely going home for the day. As a result of subpar performance on said test, my grade for the quarter was an A-. Q Mom, an A- is the same as a B+. You need to do better. I was pretty salty about the situation with the test, so like any 11-year-old with cable and my own room, I binge-watched Toonami instead of paying attention to my math homework for the rest of that semester. Shockingly at the end of it, I had a B+. Mom wasn't pleased. Some kind of generic yelling later, I came back with, it's the same as an A-. Welcome to the commutative property, Mom. TLDR. Mom tries to get me to do better at school, but phrases it in a way that justifies doing worse. Edit. I still did my homework, I'm not a maniac. Now to the comments. Nah, things haven't really changed here in India. Just last semester a friend of mine had her leg broken so couldn't attend college lectures. When she confronted the professor regarding this, how she's lagging behind and everything, unable to do assignments and all, he, with a straight face, said you can always do this again next year. OP replied, wow duck. I broke my leg during finals in college, got an extension on the exams. I'd already written the papers but I assume that would have also been an option. That said, I still had to attend class, so, to be honest, I'm not sure it's all that different at this level. My mom took me to India in 4th grade and they let me make up the work independently for that, though. I lost all vision in my dominant eye for nearly 6 months and still had to do spreadsheets while unable to read with no extensions. I also ended up having to threaten going to the dean and get an optometrist's note over getting 70% score reductions in lab because I failed to accurately differentiate colors. I'm severely colorblind. This is college in the US. I survived and actually managed to pass all classes, but it really depends on the college. In high school there's all these protections for sickness and injury, but in college as long as it's not a federally recognized disability they can throw you under the bus. Colorblindness is not a disability legally speaking. There's nothing I hate more than parents who send their sick kids to school, or adults that come to work sick as duck. I don't want your dang illness. Stay home, rest up, then come back into work when you're functional. Edit. The number of people excusing shitty behavior from their employers is nuts. 1. If they demand a doctor's note, go after them to cover the cost. They're the ones needing it. They are a business. They can afford it. 2. Businesses should be giving paid sick leave. Sick workers destroy efficiency and productivity. Letting one person stay home sick with pay is likely going to cost less than an entire office trying to concentrate while they're sick as duck. 7 to 10 paid sick days a year should be a standard minimum. I teach middle school, so believe me I hate perfect attendance awards and kids coming to school sick. What really sucks is that sick days are a middle-class privilege anymore. Kids can't stay home without a parent, and now housing's so expensive and wages are so low that most families need 2 incomes to maintain a household. So low-income parents can either call into their low-wage job and be told, find a replacement, come in, or get fired, over and over again because kids don't just get sick once. Or send the sick kids to school and hope the nurse doesn't take their temperature. Not that it was all a good thing, but my mom was a single parent and so she worked an absolute ass ton to pay for mine and my brother lives. This was the 90s and there was less stigma about leaving your kids alone. A couple times we got into trouble, like when I called China, or when I called 911 13 times in a row. But mostly it just meant we had to learn how to take care of ourselves. I was washing my laundry at 7, cooking on the stovetop by 8, doing dishes, taking out the trash, walking myself to school. My mom taught me everything I needed to know, and now as an adult I appreciate it so much more. I meet people who can't do their own laundry in their 20s who don't know how to wash dishes, who pour grease down the drain and clog it so water pours through my ceiling. Still salty about that one. I'd have taken having my mom home anyway, but I think it's important to teach kids to be self-sufficient young, and all these daycares and babysitters do exactly the opposite of that in most cases that I have seen. I'm Brown. Can confirm that I went to school with high fever several times. OP replied. EU. Yeah. The girl who got the perfect attendance award was in this boat. For someone who grew up in rural India, my mother was usually good about this, just not on test day. My mom got lenient my senior year of high school, but it was highly dependent on grades and the responses I got on my college apps. Indian Tiger Moms. Yeah mate. Take it easy. You're never gonna get past, get better grades. The Indians have it ingrained in their head about how important it is to excel in education. OP replied. And then once you have the degree, they want to know why you aren't married. Yeah, marriage before that, no girls after that, why aren't there kids? Then after that your wife will obey me and worship me like a god. Seriously, this stigma on Indians have basically destroyed their social skills and ability to learn skills quick. Kind of reminds me of my mom. She wanted me to not get anything below a B. Okay, done, A, B on a roll. When I proved I could do that, she switched it to nothing below an A. Okay, I would check with my teachers and if I had assignments missing, marked as a 0. But still managed to have an A average, I just didn't turn those in. Well, apparently, my mom checked my grades through her parent portal and saw the zeros, found out I wasn't turning them in by choice, and changed it to absolutely no zeros in my grade book. Now because I had to do every single assignment, instead of only the heavyweight ones, I started falling behind in my grades because I was trying to keep up with all of them. Ended up graduating with a mix of A's, B's, and C's instead of an AB on a roll. Mom was pissed, but I still got accepted into my college of choice and have gotten a few decent scholarships. OP replied. Oh geez, sounds like a mess, but I'm glad it worked out for you. Congrats on college. Luckily, I went to school before parents had all that online shit. I used to intercept my report cards, and they definitely didn't provide line item details. Our report cards don't go into detail either unless you go online, then you can click the grades and see what's been turned in for what grade. Lamau, good one. Did she hit you with the classic, oh god, my son has started talking back to me, what am I gonna do? OP replied. Ha ha, daughter and I always had a smart mouth, so this was more like shit, why did I give her an opening? See, my parents don't care about school or grades, and then magically the last week of the semester comes around and they start caring about shit. Now I keep up my grades because I know that moment is coming, but throughout the semester, they're like, oh, grades don't matter, just try your best, and then it's a complete 180 later. OP replied. That's honestly confusing. Is it supposed to not stress you out as much? I have no idea, honestly. I tried to explain America is more chill about these things, but somehow it didn't work. I've never understood his. Especially when someone is contagious and a simple way of not spreading it is for the person to stay home and rest. OP replied. Yeah, from a population health perspective alone it's idiotic, and obviously you're not getting their best work. Something shirking I guess L. My father wasn't happy when I got grades A or higher. Always said I needed to work harder and that I was wasting too much time on games. He couldn't do shit when I eventually burned out and got D's and D's. Shit, are you me? What happened to you? Well, you gave me a complex where it feels nothing I do is ever good enough, so I gave up. Thanks guys. When I was a freshman in high school, I had a geology teacher who was so tough that in her 30-ish years of teaching she had only ever given one A, and she had the nickname of Dr. Witch from the students. I worked my ass off to try to get a B. I got a C+. My father went nuts. I literally got screamed at for 4 hours. After that, I realized that no matter what I did, no matter how hard I worked, I'd never succeed in her class. My father would go nuts, and I didn't need that class to graduate. So, I did nothing. Not one danged thing. I didn't do the studying. I didn't do the homework. When she handed out a test, I signed my name at the top and turned it in blank. I didn't answer any questions in class. I put all the mental energy that would have gone into that class into doing well in my other classes. And indeed, I got A's in all my other classes. That second quarter, I got a D+. My father went nuts and screamed at me for 4 hours. I couldn't get a word in edgewise to explain that the fact that I got a D+ proved that grades were arbitrary because I should have gotten an F-. He just wanted to scream at me. The next quarter I continued to do nothing. I figured, I was going to get screamed at for 4 hours either way, so why bother? I got an F+. My father completely lost his mind at me and literally spit in my face. At that I walked out of the house for a few hours and we didn't speak to each other for several days. The next quarter, the fourth, I continued to do nothing. I got a D+. My father screamed at me for a couple hours before I finally got through to him that the fact that my grades went up and down while I did nothing at all proved that the grades were arbitrary. When he finally realized what I was saying to him, he went sheet white and shut up. He didn't apologize, he just left the room. The next day he went into the school and yelled at the principal. It did nothing, but at least he wasn't screaming at me anymore. I don't know if he ever realized that this is what he gets for incentivizing me badly. OP replied. Jesus stuck at the both of them. Father obviously, but also how the duck do teachers not realize that student performance is a reflection on them? She was a past president of the State Teachers Association. Her presence was prestigious for the school. She knew it, they knew it, the union knew it, and she couldn't be touched. They didn't have to give her any promotions or raises, and she didn't have to care. I am going to say something with the hindsight of this was over 30 years ago and that teacher has almost certainly died of old age. I think that she was a brilliant teacher, and she sacrificed her own popularity in the community to teach her students. But I don't think that the important lesson she was teaching was geography. I think she was teaching us how to fail. That sometimes life will deal us failure, and no amount of work is going to prevent it, so we just have to work with it. I think I just learned that lesson earlier than the other students, even if it took me some years to put it into words. 3 years after I had her class, just before I graduated, I ran into her outside the classroom for the very first time. Her face lit up and she said first name. How nice to see you, how have you been? I was so shocked to see her smile. And that she remembered my name instantly after 3 years, that I mumbled something polite and escaped. That's the only thing I feel bad about regarding this whole thing. I think she was a nice lady who was willing to have everyone hate her in order to teach us an important life lesson that we wouldn't get in any of our other classes.